Hey guys, so this is actually like my seventh time I think recording this. Um, Mainly because I don't want it to carry on, and sometimes I do kind of get off track. Um, but you read the title, and I know you're thinking, What? It's Ganondorf. How could he possibly be an effective leader and help?" So keep this in your mind. I want to tell you about a little place called the Shadow Temple. So, the Shadow Temple is a place where the royal family, these high society, royal uh, people, would bring political opponents, political prisoners. They would torture them, they would execute them. So, the royal family, who weren't squeaky clean, plenty of sin, and we know the Shadow Temple existed for a while. Um, they did everything I think you would think Ganondorf would do. Although they didn't have something that Ganondorf does have. And that one thing changes everything. You're smart enough, you'll know exactly what that thing is. The Triforce of Power. That small little thing, that it's tiny sounding as that is. Or the people who don't know, I mean, you're watching a video about Ganondorf, how can you not know? The Triforce of Power, a piece of the Triforce, a divine relic created by the goddesses themselves, is with Ganondorf. And with that, he has a multitude of enhancements and abilities, immortality, quickened healing. He's got a nice little healing factor there because he's got basically uh, godly essence on his side there. Um, Bigger, stronger. His magic is enhanced. Pretty much whatever you would think with power. Um, the royal family, doesn't have that. They have the Triforce of Wisdom, but power, wisdom. I mean, wisdom is great in the way that you're ruling, you know, with that royal family, but Ganondorf has it in his mind, and sometimes it's correct, that you need to rule through fear and power. Um, so So there's that. While you have Rauru that we see in Tears of the Kingdom ruling with love and compassion, sometimes that's a weakness. Um, Ganondorf believes in brute strength, absolute power, and given the fact that he has the Triforce of Power, he's essentially immortal. The only thing that can take him down is that Master Sword. If he was ruling the kingdom as the royal family would, Link and Zelda would have no reason to stop him. Even doing. Zelda knew that these terrible things happened. She knows about that stuff. She knows about the Shadow Temple. She knows about political prisoners and executions. So, in a sense, there would probably be less deaths if Ganondorf was in charge. And why is that? Because he wouldn't have to kill anyone. We see what he can do with power, and before he even gets power, before he even gets the Triforce of Power, he is already a force. Uh, he flexes on Link when he first meets him, just a little tiny ball of energy, enough to knock Link on his ass, just to say, "Hey, I did that to you with just a fraction of my power. I wasn't. That was like something I could sneeze at you, and I was able to knock you on your ass." And he just did it as a kindness. He's like, you've got guts, and I admire that. Get in my way again. I'm not going to be so nice. But he can be very reasonable. We see Ingo in the future. He says, "Oh yeah, the great King Ganondorf gave me Lon Lon Ranch." Well, obviously there's nothing for free. So what was the exchange? Well, a horse. A horse. Ganondorf gave Inko Lon Lon Ranch, and in exchange, he said, I want you to give me a horse worthy of a king. That seems pretty reasonable. We know that Lon Lon Ranch produces the finest milk, has other things that they have, but the finest milk is usually what they're known for. Ganondorf said, "I want your profits. I want this. I want." No, he said, "I want a horse worthy of a king." And we know that Lon Lon Ranch did have a horse worthy of a king. A little girl by the name of Epona, the best girl. So Ingo got the ranch for something as little as a horse. So I think if Ingo went to Ganondorf and said, "Hey, great King Ganondorf, thank you very much for giving me the ranch. I was wondering if we could possibly expand it. I want to be able to expand Lon Lon Ranch and make it bigger." I mean, because we see that Lon Lon Ranch does have a wall around it. And of course, it would come for a fee. Ganondorf would probably say, "Sure, we will expand your ranch. I'll have my men go out there. We'll knock down some of the walls, and we'll start expansion on your ranch. And in exchange, I want whatever said fee would be." And if a horse is what he was asking for a ranch, you can see that the fee could most likely would be reasonable. It's like, I'm giving you this whole ranch, the profits, everything. I'm giving you all of that. All I want is a horse. So if Ingo wanted an expansion on that ranch, it would probably be a reasonable fee. And again, if you want something, you have to give something. We see that Gerudo Valley. Now, while the Gerudos didn't get any better during those 7 years, they certainly didn't get any worse. Now, assuming the training grounds were kind of built in those 7 years, funding had to come from somewhere. That stuff probably wasn't cheap. So either the carpenters themselves built that training ground for them where they did, or Ganondorf had his men go over there and build it. But either way, the stuff inside did not come cheap, I'm sure. Funding had to come from somewhere. Not hit this one, but Ganondorf. So while things didn't get better for the Gerudo, it didn't get worse. We go to Kakariko Village. And not only are they they're not dead, that we also see the building that they were building in the child, when you were, child, was actually able to be finished. Ganondorf didn't destroy it. They're being allowed to grow and flourish. Basically, don't get in my way. You can live your lives. He releases Volvagia, or resurrects, as a scare tactic against the Gorons. And we learn that. It's like, hey, don't stand against me, and you don't have to worry about your people being eaten by my big, scary, evil monster friend. Yeah, you know that dragon your people feared in the past? Yeah, it's back. And just a snap of my fingers, I can have that thing eat you and all your people. If you value yourselves and your lives, you'll stay out of my way. Again, this is a man who has the Triforce of Power. He could kill these people several times over. But the way he would rule would be no different than any other ruler. Again, the royal family is not free from sin. The Shadow Temple is the biggest piece of evidence. They would have political prisoners, they would torture those prisoners, and then they would execute them in horrendous ways. Ganondorf would not have to kill anyone. He could make you submit through fear. He could go to other nations and do the same thing he did, essentially, to Child Link. Just flex. And those people would be terrified of this man to the point of, okay, we'll give you our resources. Some of our resources we'll give to you. Just please don't kill us. And eventually, over time, these other nations and whatever that he goes to, he could actually incorporate into Hyrule itself. So instead of the land of Hyrule, it could become the continent of Hyrule. And again, because he's immortal, and the only thing that gets in defeat that can defeat him is the Master Sword, and Link and Zelda are kind of staying out of it because he's not doing anything that a ruler wouldn't. You know, he's pretty much doing actually less damage than the royal family did. He could actually go on to conquer the planet. And there's no one can stop him because the goddesses themselves created the planet. He wields the Triforce of Power, a relic created by those same goddesses. So unless you possess a piece of the Triforce, which you don't because all three people reside in Hyrule, you're not going to defeat this guy. It doesn't matter what side of the planet you're on. It doesn't matter what ancient technology you have or ancient rituals. You're not going to defeat him. If you have some, I have some secret super special item that can seal, good luck with that. This man will blow you apart before you even get a chance to use your little special tea kettle to seal him away or whatever. Good luck with that. But given the fact that he would rule through fear, he wouldn't have to kill anyone. The only people he would kill are the people who got in his way. Just as the royal family did. If there was, the political prisoners, if there were other nations, other leaders that got in their way, they were killed. They would be tortured, well, interrogated, tortured, and then killed. So would Ganondorf be any different than the royal family? Again, he would in a way because he doesn't have to worry about opposition. If he was king, he has the Triforce of Power, and he was ruling as a regular person, although through fear. Again, Link and Zelda aren't going to get in his way. They're not going to stop their land from being prosperous because, he's doing bad things like conquering other nations. They're not going to stop him. All this man has to do, again, is just go to another nation and flex. He doesn't have to even hit anyone with a ball of energy or whatever. He could destroy a mountain with a ball of energy and be like, yeah, that nation, that mountain over there, that could have been you guys. They're like, well, sorry, no, please, we don't want any of this. Just take what you need. We'll set up something where we can import goods to you guys, and just please don't kill us. I mean, really, did you deny that? If the royal family was squeaky clean and they're like, oh my god, we rule through goodness and happiness and everyone loves us, that would be one thing. But we know they're not innocent. We know they have a dark past. We know they captured people and tortured them and killed them. So, let's see. Royal family who actually does have to kill people to stay in power, or Ganondorf, who has a Triforce of Power, can't be killed, and simply has to just flex a little bit of magic, and people will submit. And again, he's reasonable. Giving Ingo the ranch for a horse? Allowing the people to not only flee Market Town, but also thrive and build in Kakariko? Volvagia simply being a scare tactic. The Gorons that were in prison, basically, or Gorons who were just trying to stand against him. Like, hey, you guys can stand against me if you want. You're gonna die if you do. Or you can just let me be king and let me rule and not interfere, and you don't have to worry about dying. The choice is yours, and yours alone. Good luck. Let's rock. But I honestly think that Ganondorf would just be an effective leader. Again, it's not great to rule through fear, but is that any different than any dictator in the real world today? Would he be any different from a dictator you see today who flat out murders opposition, murders citizens who speak out against him? No. In fact, he wouldn't have to kill anyone. And that's what separates him from any ruler in the real world. He wouldn't have to kill any opposition. All he has to do is flex his power, a little bit of magic with that Triforce of Power, and people would submit to him completely. And he would not have to worry about anyone acting out. And the people he did have to worry about, he wouldn't have to worry about. It's like, yeah, he's doing things, but he's not killing anyone. I can't do it. He's not killing anyone. I can't do anything. I'm not just going to kill a man who's making our kingdom better. That'd be stupid. Because then we'll be kingless, and then other nations will see that, and they'll conquer us, and just... I'm like, sorry guys, my sword's tied on this one. I mean, I'm sure there are people who will say, no, he would be terrible. No, I truly believe that he would not be terrible. Because he would rule through fear. He would rule through brute strength. And that's what he admires. And that's what he values, is fear, instilling fear in others, conquering through brute strength. And when you have the Triforce of Power on your side, you don't have to kill anyone for them to submit, especially when you know that the only people who can stop you aren't going to stop you because you're ruling as kind of a regular king would. I mean, and obviously, if anyone has any opposition to that, please inform me why you don't think Ganondorf would be a good king. But again, would he be any different than rulers we've seen today in other countries in the past? So, anyway, that's going to do it for me. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.